You're listening to a special presentation from Night of the Living podcast, Zoned Out with Freddie and Joe, and our special guest tonight, Matt Hoffman. Oh my God.
The crowd goes wild.
We're at our season 1 wrap up, season 1 of the Twilight Zone, and I guess season 1 of Zoned Out.
It's pretty exciting.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks for coming back, Matt.
Again, thanks for having me. This is great.
Yeah, well, I know back in the day, you and I had talked about doing something like this, and we never did. And then Joe brought it back to life. So
That's
thanks,
awesome.
Joe.
I appreciate it.
Hey, happy to facilitate.
Yeah. So we decided for the wrap up, we would just talk about our top threes from the season, each of our personal top 3 episodes.
I was kind of telling you guys in this regard, I didn't go on the journey the way you guys did. So I was I was kind of banking off memory outside of the couple episodes I recapped with y'all. And, but I went down the list and then I narrowed it down to like a good 6. I was like, okay, I'm going to at least like rewatch these 6 so that I can get pick from them off of beyond just my memory. So that was my methodology coming in as someone who I listen to all your podcasts, you obviously remember, but I haven't watched them all in so long.
Yeah, you got to have that firsthand experience. You know what's weird is I was listening, and I wanted to thank Kyle Miller, our friend who gave me this box set of the Blu-rays of the Twilight Zone, which are awesome and not beyond what you can get on streaming. It has all these, each episode has extra content. The very first episode has a class that Rod Serling lectured at in 1975 where he talks about where is everybody. Have you seen this, Matt?
Oh yeah, I was one of those people in the height of the DVD and Blu-ray media where everything would be watched 5 or 6 times because I'd have to watch it with every commentary and then I'd watch all the extras like a nut about it. And I kind of hate that just the world as technology has evolved has made me so lazy that now I just watch everything one. And there's so much cool stuff and extras, and I just watch the thing now because it's digital and it streams, and you fucking miss all the best parts of that stuff. And even hearing you talk about it, and I'm thinking back, I'm like, yeah, I remember all this. It was so good. It makes me want to go back and just pull those extras.
Yeah, they're great. And I know if you have some of the stuff on, I don't know if the Twilight Zone is this case, but a lot of times in iTunes or whatever you have, if you own it, there's sometimes a little extra section like they had on the old Blu-rays and everything.
Oh, no way. And they'll pull them in?
Yeah, sometimes. It's not
That's
everything,
cool.
But a lot of the bigger movies have them, which is nice because I miss that too because I'm in a very small house, so physical media is not normally something I'd have. But for the Twilight Zone, that's my favorite TV show of all time. Absolutely. This is a godsend. It's so many details in there, man. There's old ad placards and everything.
Old interviews, old commercial bumpers. It's great.
Yes.
I miss the gamification of the DVDs and having to seek out the menus and ooh, wait, I never even saw this before. It was such a cool medium for that, but hopefully they'll find another way to integrate that.
Absolutely. Do you guys, we were talking about doing this as a round robin. So I think Matt, you're our guest. So I think I'd start with you with what your number 3 Twilight Zone season 1 episode is.
Oh, how kind, fellas. My number 3 is Third from the Sun. I picked this one. It's the first of the very classic Twilight Zone trope of, I'm going to combine these 2 ideas together because they're kind of the yin and yang of the same thing, of, hey, we think we're on Earth, but we're in space somewhere, or hey, we think we're in space somewhere, but we're actually on Earth. It's the first time we see that, and I could rattle off probably top of my head 5 of these things, and if I looked at all of them, there's probably more than that. So it becomes this Twilight Zone thing. This was the first, and to me, really one of the best. It's the direction and the shots are awesome. And it's cool. It's a great second watch because even though the twist, along the way, they give you little Easter eggs to pick up on and little hints to kind of know what's going on. It's fun to watch all of that play out. And again, I just feel visually it's so good. The cast, the characters, the people they got are great. It's just a great roster of people. All of it really hits to me. And again, I do think it kicks off that trope, that classic Twilight Zone trope of we're not here, we're there.
Yeah, that is the origin episode, the granddaddy of that twist. Is that the granddaddy of that twist kind of in storytelling? I don't know. I don't know enough about pre-60s sci-fi stories, but I feel like it started with the Twilight Zone to me.
Yeah, it's just permeated through entertainment through the decades. It's true.
Yeah, so cool. Joe, what's your number 3?
So I went through and I kind of tried to just focus on things that kind of struck me personally and kind of resonated with me. So I ended up with number 3 being Walking Distance, which I think was the first of the episodes that you and I, Freddie, when we first started, kind of really hit us like in a like an emotional way. I felt like it was the first that really struck me, and watching it now versus watching it then hit me very different. I watched it just recently again just to kind of review it, and it was interesting. There's a lot of like that kind of that transitional generational stuff that I think at that time was probably generational for a couple different groups of people, and now hits again as like, oh, this is a whole other level of like, you're seeing the older generations and how maybe they interacted, but it's the concepts still apply of that kind of feeling of, just enjoy your youth, and it's like, well, you don't have to go back to your youth to enjoy your youth. And so all the concepts that came from that kind of time travel and the innocence around it, and also kind of disengaging yourself from the busy world as it is. I just loved it all. So kind of hit me as a getting older guy with kids of my own, just that struck me as something to follow up on, and it's stuck with me since the beginning. So really like that one.
Yeah, that one really does hit you in the middle-aged man bag, all the feelings come up. And that's another
and the music
sorry, it's lovely. I was just going to say that theme of longing for like a better time is also something that you see all through all 5 seasons of the show. Very sentimental, nostalgic.
Just in the lore of the Twilight Zone, it's a cool up. It's very, to me, like the most. It's a piece of Rod in a way. It's very it's parallel to his life and his hometown and everything. So it's just kind of cool for that reason. Whether you get into the enjoyment of the episode or not, it's just a cool stamp of the Twilight Zone. The whole thing of it all. I think it's like really like it's like the Rod episode.
Yeah, it makes sense because the gazebo. It's supposed to be like Binghamton, New York. The look of it and everything. Yeah.
In the Sterling Fest, they crowned, at that carousel in Binghamton. They kind of did the same, give him a big ceremony there, I guess. So, yeah, it's a good episode. Great episode.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Deep emotions.
How about you, Freddie?
For me, and I think maybe because I saw this one early on in my experience with the Twilight Zone as a kid, is Time Enough at Last with Burgess Meredith.
Excellent.
I just love him. I love his relationship with the Twilight Zone and how he returns to the Twilight Zone. And it is mostly about him and his performance above and beyond the story or anything else. But I do love the simplicity of it and the irony, that O. Henry style twist where all he wants to do is read and he breaks his glasses. I mean, like, that's just it. It's perfect. It's all you need. Bum your audience out, make a real lovable, goofy guy, and then ruin his life completely. Classic Twilight Zone.
One of the most wretched wives in the whole series, too, really.
Yeah. I know. I wonder often when I see episodes like this or, even A World of His Own, like, what the men who are writing the Twilight Zone, what their lives at home were like, genuinely.
There's not much to wonder about. It seems pretty clear to me what their lives at home were like.
Well, they kind of flip the roles in The Fever, that one, the slot machine episode where the old it's the man who's kind of the pain in the ass. But yeah, more often than not, they're a little more harder on the wives, for sure.
I always wonder,
that's the talking slot machine one, right?
Yes.
I know there's a couple games. Franklin, like that crazy.
Actually, had The Fever as one of my backup ones. Is when I run around. Yeah, really love that one.
Oh yeah, that's a fun episode. So we're back to Matt. What's your number 2, Matt?
Okay, my number 2, I believe, is on yours. But correct me if I'm wrong. It's The Hitchhiker. Is that on? Do we table this one?
That one is when we get to my spoiler. When we get to my number 1, that's my number 1. So, and you know what's funny is you and I have flipped our one and two. So my 2 is Matt's 1, and your 1 is A Stop at Willoughby. So what we'll do is maybe just wrap up Joe, and then we'll all talk about those 2.
You guys mixing up your ones and twos. It's making a whole mess here.
Shat on a turtle.
If one of us would just cave and admit that the other one is better than that episode, this would all be a lot easier.
It is. They're
but I'm
almost
sticking to my guns. I'm
interchangeable.
going to be stubborn about this.
They're pretty damn good. They're both pretty perfect in my opinion. But Joe, let's move on up your list.
All right. We'll play with my number 2 here for a second. So
Take that out of context.
all the sound clips. I've got Mr. Denton on Doomsday, which again was another real early episode, but to me, it captures something that's that old timey story of like the twist, takes you out of like the everyday realm, and it's almost every day, but there's just one little piece of literally fate intervening, Dr. Fate, that is. And what I like about it too is it has the first one and the second one really, though there are some depressing elements of them, especially at the beginning, they both have kind of like a happy ending. You know what I mean? It's and the Twilight Zone has that mix of sometimes it's like, well, like you said, Time Enough at Last, where, you know, it starts out and it's like, well, you know, he's okay with his life, and then he just gets, you know, kicked in the groin by fate at the end. I like some of the endings where it's like, oh, you know what? Something positive came out of this one. So it's actually like a learning experience. And especially that kind of the magic of it, of that moment twist where, again, I think we're just kind of spoil the heck out of these. But,
Oh, sure. Yeah, definitely.
You know, when he's held a gun and he's gone through the whole process. He's gone through the whole, like, he's learned his lesson from gunfighting. He had to kill the young guy way back when, and he's been a drunk since then. And then he's right back where he was, right? But he's learned all the lessons. And so he's like, well, I know this kid's going to come for me, so I got to get something. So he learns that lesson one more time, and he's able to teach the lesson as part of him relearning the lesson of nothing's going to come from this, you know?
It's a lot to do in that short a time on screen.
Yeah. I mean, it really accomplishes a lot, and they're both, and then, you know, they're both out of it. And they're both, you know, he's at the end, he's even like, it's a blessing, son, you know, you'll never raise a gun in anger again. So
only for pleasure.
It's just a really, exactly. Yikes. Yeah, so I just really, I love that. I love it. The ending and just the whole Western aspect of it is really fun.
Yeah, the Western episodes are. There probably would have been a box set back in the day that's just the Twilight Zone Westerns on VHS or something.
It's great, like, having those Westerns in the Twilight Zone, because I definitely, and not for lack of giving them a chance in my youth, I don't like Western stuff. I like Gunsmoky and Dirty Harry, any of that stuff. I'm not into it. But the Twilight Zone, I'm way in. I'm bought in. And I don't know if it's like when Western combines with like fantasy in a way or sci-fi, it makes it cool. But you know, it softens me to Westerns. The Twilight Zone has in a way, because I get way into these episodes. It's cool.
Does the original Star Trek do the same thing for you when they end up in old Western towns?
I've never seen a single episode of Star Trek in my life.
Wow. You know, there's a lot of connections to the Twilight, at least in the original series. There's a lot of common DNA. It's pretty fun.
It gets very intimidating when anyone would recommend a series to start that has more than like 3 seasons. Is getting very even there is like, I can't start, you know, and Twilight, I assume Star Trek is like a whole world.
It's quite a bit.
Speaking of the Western that's a short season, have you watched Firefly?
I have not. I've heard of it.
That
that's
one's
another
finite,
one.
At least.
Yeah.
Is that modern, or is that like old school?
It's early 2000s maybe. It's Joss Whedon did it after he left, finished Buffy and Angel. It's a space Western.
It's quirky and fun, and it's got its own personality. It's got a huge following, but it's like great. It's one season. It's relatively
space. Yeah, one season that's so appealing to me.
In a movie.
Yeah.
Right.
Check.
Yep. Yeah. So, and Martin, but last thing about Denton on Doomsday, Martin Landau, a young Martin Landau. Wow, that dude was
so good,
crazy looking, and really good.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, is that actually Martin Landau? Yes, it is.
He had a character face,
lanky and alive everywhere from the eyeballs to the toes. Yeah,
absolutely.
I love him. So I'll tell you what, we'll take a short break and be right back, and we'll talk about our big number twos and our little number ones. All right, thanks for coming and sticking around. If you're a patron, you're like, what happened? That's because you're a patron. You didn't have to hear an ad. Congratulations and thank you. So we're at our top two. So I think what we should do is I'll concede on the Hitcher as number two on the master list and talk about that, the Hitchhiker. I think the reason for me this is on the list is it represents what the Twilight Zone can do with horror stories really well. What about you, Matt?
That is 100% to me. There is like a finite selection of Twilight Zones that are like straight up horror, and this is the most horror of those. I would say like Long Distance Call, maybe The Invaders, maybe It's a Good Life, but other than that, like having just straight horror without a moral, without a lesson, without a blah blah blah, it's just horror. And this is it. That when the guy's face goes into frame, it's just creepy as hell. Yeah, it's a great ghost story.
Feels like a campfire tale, and it's the twist that you've heard over and over and over and over again, but it's not the first time that twist has been presented either. But it's great, the dead the whole time. You were dead the whole time. It's it works for a reason because it deals with in between the limbo.
And I love how all of the characters, you don't know, like they're all a little off. The guy who helps her, who's not, are they dead or are these people also? You kind of almost don't ever know that, I guess, because they all are a little quirky and odd, and it's the whole episode just has a real tense. You get a feeling watching it, and on the very unsettling, uncomfortable feeling. And every new person she engages with, you don't trust any of them, even though whether you may or may not be able to. It's really just well done and creepy. Especially think of like way back then watching this. Like if you're like a kid and you happen to catch this late at night and you haven't had decades of history of horror that with the same tropes, shoved down your throat, and this would scare the shit out of you. I feel like
it scared me in the 80s, And I had seen some pretty horrible shit already. I'd seen like Nightmare on Elm Street probably before I saw this episode, and it still scared me. The emptiness, it feels like she's in a void a lot of the time, which makes it even more surreal. But it's fantastic. Joe, where do you fall on the Hitchhiker?
I actually the thing that really stands out to me, I got my dad, I think, was a big fan of this one. He always does "Are you going my way?" But I like how it was a really kind of a centered on her, and it kind of gave her perspective going cross country of that vibe of very late 50s, early 60s of like a woman driving on her own was kind of unusual, and what would that feel like and all the men she interacted with. So I liked it kind of as almost a metaphor for the female experience on the whole. And we talked about that during the episode if anyone wants to go back and review it, but it kind of resonated with me again. It's just that cool, like you're seeing that it's scary, it's creepy, there's all kinds of stuff, but there's a whole lot of underlying message as well.
Yeah, it makes it a lot more intense that it is a woman throughout. You have a whole nother layer of things to worry about.
Totally.
Yeah. So let's see. We haven't gotten to. Do we want to go ahead and do your number one, Joe?
Sure.
Yeah.
I'll do my number one, and then we can hash out the rest of those. So mine was number one, Monsters on Maple Street, which you've seen it on The Simpsons. You've seen it done over and over again. It's just such a good, solid message of, we've met the enemy and it is us. I love this one from the beginning to the end. It's very suburban, regular life that turns wretched when people start suspecting each other, and then there's one more allegation, and then all the secrets come out and all the dirty laundry gets aired and everybody's on everybody's case. And in the end, it was just them turning the lights out for a little bit. The aliens, that is. Yeah. One to the next, one to another, one to another.
This was on my short list. It just didn't get up. Yeah. Because I've always felt, and as a kid in experiencing this series the first time, I always used to conflate this episode with the one about the bomb shelter. I would think they were the same episode a lot when I was a kid, and then I had to like delineate and separate that the last couple of times, just so I'm like, no, that's a separate thing. They did that separately.
Right.
Yeah, the build up. This also made my short list. The build up of it's just constant escalation until it just peaks and ends very quickly. It's you don't get like from the start. The pacing is just up, and it's cool. It's a great watch.
Yeah,
I love the frenetic at the end too, because like you said, it's actually one of those where if you watch the framing or the shots themselves, they're slower, they're longer, they're broader, they're more open at the beginning, and the faster it goes towards the end, you get more close-ups, more pictures of just like feet and a lot more movement and all this stuff. It's just the whole thing is just a masterwork in how to accelerate that. It's just stunning. So huge fan, and all the actors did their excellent job. I can never remember the name, but one fella's name, is it Claude Atkins? That's who it is.
Oh yeah,
or
Claude
Steve.
Aiken. Is it Aiken?
Claude Aiken. Yeah, Aikens. Yes,
Yeah.
thank you. Not
Yeah.
Atkins. That's a cowboy or something.
The Atkins diet.
Right. So Claude Aikens, just
Yeah.
classic, and that voice, and yeah,
Who's Sheriff
really
Lobo, maybe, if I remember right.
good. I'm not sure.
I can't remember. Don't take that as correct. Anything I say is bound to be wrong. So, but yeah, that episode is it's so fun I love that you can see its its fingerprints on the burbs later. When Joe Dante makes it. I think he drew some from this.
Oh, big time.
Yeah, great stuff.
I think you're right. It is Sheriff Lobo, by the way.
He was Sheriff Lobo. Okay.
Yeah.
What a weird show. In hindsight, So, Matt, why don't we get into your number one, which was my number two?
Yeah, Stop at Willoughby. This is one I was, on with you guys to recap. So I've definitely given my piece, but I am a sucker for nostalgia. I have whatever sort of psychosis this dude also had to just like simpler times. Whether I feel it's all I have a conscious knowledge, it's probably just all in my head, and we're probably in better days. Who knows? But in my brain, it's too much. Get back, simpler, quiet. All the piece, the fun, old towns. It seems just. I love it. I feel that. And whether you're not as whatever fantasy about it, maybe as I am in the same way as the character in this episode, I feel it's just as you get older, there's this universally relatable quality to this. And I think it's tough for anyone. I think I mentioned this on the episode. Anyone at post late 30s or so to watch this and not have some sort of connection in some way to the sentiments behind it.
Yeah, because once you get to a certain point, there's the generation gap hits you, and when you've experienced that the first time in your life, and then you see this episode, it feels different. Yeah, because we laughed about, I think it was in Walking Distance, where he comes back to the 60s, and he's at the malt shop, which is just somebody else's golden past, right? He's walking into it as his like less than ideal present. And I love that the way these play, the older they get, and the more generational segments that are cropped up in the meantime. It's nuts. It's such a cool
and those
thing.
two are very they parallel until the end, and then they like mega split because you get Walking Distance. It's kind of like, hey, leave the past alone. You don't belong there. Whereas Willoughby, the entire way, it's like I got to get there. It's getting there.
Yeah.
It's tragic, but you never get that like I shouldn't have been there kind of thing, or leave it alone. It's always very glamorized and just like it's like still the thing you want to do or the place you want to be.
It feels like a win, for the guy. You're like, oh, good for him.
Yeah,
he died.
Exactly. He's in a better place. Truly,
he's in a better place. Yeah. Have you ever been to Foy's? Either of you in Ohio, where it's the Halloween town that we have, and kind of like it's north of here a bit. If you look up Foy's Halloween in Ohio, that's all you need to type in FOY, I believe. But they have like a big Halloween store, but they still have a diner that's like 1960s style and all this stuff. And it's like original, like there was a Five and Dime that turned into this big Halloween store that they're known for Halloween. It's really just an oddball little place, but it's close enough that you can thrive,
Floyd Brothers Funeral Home as well.
Probably.
Right. The Franklin, Indiana. I ended up in like a B movie horror fest one year, and this plane, it was in Franklin, Indiana. I didn't know where it was. Drove out there, and it was just like it was like stepping into a Willoughby. It was just all the people were together painting windows in their little tiny town shops, and just like the little town square. I'm like, wow, this is crazy as hell. I loved it.
Yeah, I love that sort of thing. And then there's Circleville. Ohio is spotted, and so is Illinois. And honestly, I don't know a lot about your state, Joe, but like, would you say Minnesota is like a Halloween state?
Oh, it varies. I mean, sometimes you go. In fact, it's funny mentioning Halloween. We talk about like there was one neighborhood I've lived in where we had maybe 5 trick-or-treaters, and another neighborhood that I lived in when I was younger where we had probably 300 on Halloween night. I mean, it was just like you get people who are super into it and people who aren't, and I don't know.
There's just these pockets.
It varies.
Like throughout Ohio,
totally.
There's these pockets of towns that are holding on to the old school, like like Pumpkin Queen festivals and so much of that, and that nostalgia is really interesting to visit. Like we're far outside of that. We're in Cincinnati. It's a little different. We don't get trick-or-treaters at all anymore, which is depressing as shit.
Crazy. Yeah, it's sad.
Yeah, it's like
it's a bummer.
It's just we're in a very like culturally mixed neighborhood, so I think sometimes it's people who've immigrated here who don't know what Halloween is really, and half of the time, and then there's the younger people don't have any kids. Everything's kind of changed, but it's interesting. Its culture is like amorphous to me now compared to like the Twilight Zone is so specific. It's really a really jarring contrast.
Yeah, it totally varies.
But I'm like you, man. I'm not saying one's necessarily better than the other one or anything. I don't know. I'm sure things are better. I couldn't be doing this podcast in 1960.
Yeah.
Plus civil rights for all these people. It's like I glossed over the whole, the real big change.
If you really start thinking about it, we're fine now. We're okay. Yeah. But it's there's this thing in the back of your head that goes, God, it's just easier. I think it's life, life in general. It's not the world, it's our lives.
And where you grew up, how you grew up. I think you long for, if you were lucky to have an okay childhood.
I wonder about that too. Like what happened? Like if he hadn't done, like, let's say he gets into Willoughby, I want to see him like 2-3 years down the road. Is he still satisfied with Willoughby, or is he just like, okay, I saw all the stuff that I really wanted.
Another miserable wife in Willoughby that nags him about some other
That's the thing.
Bullshit.
It's like you found your nostalgia, but like we only saw the first few days, the first few hours of that nostalgia. It's like
he's gonna get back on that train looking for 1895 pretty soon.
He's trying to sleep on some Saturday morning. He's like, another fucking parade? Can you stop with the fucking parade? It's loud noise.
How many apple pies has he eaten?
Oh my God!
Milking the cows was.
Gonna get a burger here in Willoughby?
Churning butter was fun the first time, but I'm just so tired of it.
Becomes a chore sooner or later.
Yeah.
Clothesline? Does anybody have a washing machine? Really? A clothesline, you guys?
The funniest thing is he must have, Serling or somebody involved had that same thought, because then they did the one about the other place, where the character is getting all of his wishes granted, but he becomes bored with it.
Yeah.
So I love that.
Was that season 1, A Nice Place to Visit, or was that later?
Was season
you guys
1.
Did it?
Yep.
You did it. Nice Place to Visit. Thank you, Matt. I couldn't remember the name.
This is the other place. Yes.
So I like this here, and you did another one earlier in the episode, Joe. I was like, we're getting into one of these recap episodes. I'm not going to get to hear Joe do the Serling bit, which I love always. But I still get a couple impressions here and there, and they've been rock solid, so I appreciate that.
Well, thank you. Thank you very
very
much.
good story.
It's fun. It's a lot of fun.
I do a great George Clements, the cinematographer, but you wouldn't know. There's no audio recordings of him, but I do it spot on.
Folks, we're doing this via video chat, so if you could see Freddy's picture, it's just stunning. The framing is amazing. The lighting is fantastic.
I have huge bags under my eyes.
Oh boy.
Oh, but
what other ones made your guys' shortlist? I'm just out of curiosity.
Oh yeah.
I don't have to dive deep into them, but I'm curious, just rattling.
Was it
Uh,
After Hours?
the After Hours is one of mine. Yep, love that
I
one.
did an
Just,
80s remake, which I haven't seen, but I know it's out there somewhere. Have you guys seen the 80s remake of that? The 80s
that
Twilight?
just way back in the day, not recently.
Awesome.
You're not talking about Mannequin with Kim Cattrall.
I was gonna say you're not talking about
No, I wish I was.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I remember them doing it, but I don't really remember what they did with it, how different it was.
I didn't see it. I haven't seen it. 80s ones I kind of just like hit here and there on YouTube. I never like was in it at the time. I haven't seen sporadic ones.
There was like a moment there where I think Prime or somebody was streaming the 80s series, and I soaked it up real fast before it disappeared.
I'll see someone on Reddit talking about like an 80s episode. I'm like, oh, it sounds interesting. And I'll go on YouTube and watch it. That's kind of my 80s Twilight Zone.
Well, we watched
I've
Little
got
Boy
at least-
Lost that way. We were both texting about that. Yeah.
I've watched 2 episodes that have really stuck with me that I don't remember which they were, but like I think one of them was 3 of them now. Okay, yeah, that like I can think back and go, oh, I remember watching that show and it hit. Like the one was was it Shatterday? It was the one where like she can make wishes happen and she can stop time.
Did you say
I don't remember which one it
Saturday?
was.
Is that where they just
Saturday?
can't stop shitting all Saturday? It's just a terrible
Not Shitterday.
Torn.
Not number 2 day.
Saturday Night Fever. That's the worst.
It was a problem. They had Saturday. It was super bad.
Submitted for your approval. I can't do it, Joe. Yeah, I can't do it. Submitted for your approval. You got to.
You just got to smoke 1,000 cigarettes.
That's right. And then he does that. If you watch his face as he does it too, like he's got he pulls his whole face back and forward. He's really expressive when he does it, which is one of the reasons I think he sounds so distinctive. So fun to watch. It's like a lesson.
Yeah, he's intense.
What about you guys? Did you have more runners up?
I had the Monsters, and then I had Long Live Walter Jameson, and Where Is Everybody? Those are
that was hard.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Joe. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I love the black magic of that one. It's just kind of like spooky and
yeah. I'm a
very
big fan of the actor. Who that's funny that I say I'm a big fan of him and then I immediately forget his name.
He's on my tongue too. Kevin
McCarthy, right?
Thank you. Yeah, I also couldn't think of it.
I love him. Not enough to remember his name, but I love him.
He was great. Though.
Yeah. I loved him in everything he's done. Invasion of the Body Snatchers, the original of that. He's so good in that. That feels like an extended Twilight Zone episode.
He's got a very distinctive face.
Yeah,
definitely.
definitely.
And then I pulled Where Is Everybody? I just thought it was like a real good launch. I thought it was like a good, like an album, like you have an album that has a good opener and you go, maybe that song wouldn't be as good if it was track 4, but it's a great opener. I feel like this is it was placed well, sequenced well in the series. And it's just, that's why I had that as my off.
Does it surprise you when you listen to that like 1975 lecture he did where he just shits all over that episode in his writing?
I do remember you then, yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
I told Amy, I said, this is weird to listen because I had never heard it. And I was like, it's weird to listen to Rod Serling shit on my favorite TV show. And he's the one who made it.
In general, I both love and hate hearing artists talk about their art because it's like interesting, but always frustrating because you're listening because you're always a fan of whatever artist, and they're all you're an artist. We're all artists in our own way, and you always fucking hate your shit in some way. There's always like just complaining about it. So, but people are there listen. Yeah, so it is. I had the same frustrations listening to it. It's so funny.
The one thing that drives an artist to keep creating is his hatred of his material.
Well, it was a great one of the more recent NOTOP episodes where you were talking about George Wendt, who had recently passed, and talking about how some fan at a convention was asking him about this specific appearance on this specific show, and he was like, I honestly don't know. I was just getting a paycheck. And it was like, you're like, it meant so much to them.
Yeah, it meant something to them. Yeah. He just floated. He floated through that job. He was like, easy money.
Yeah. I got to say, one of my favorites for a couple of reasons that was still a runner-up was And When the Sky Was Opened.
Oh, yeah.
With the pilots that just disappeared. I thought that was such a cool idea that, the execution of it has to be kind of careful because you're watching different details and stuff. But, man, I loved it for the idea, for the way they executed it, And for the hulking out through the crashing
Yes.
through the glass. Oh my God, that was such a great shot.
It's a great stunt. Him pushing through that glass like it's nothing at all. Yeah, that was awesome. That
You get to
just
play the
roars.
Ed Harrington drinking game in that one too, right?
Yeah.
Harrington. Harrington. It'd be lights out by the end of that episode.
That was some Muppet style choreography too. Like every joint in his body was loose, but except for where he had to be incredibly tight.
Yes.
Yeah. Just like Sam the Eagle came to life for a moment. It was so good.
So much rage.
That
great.
one you kind of feel when you watch the X-Files, you can almost feel kind of that's the legacy of that style with all the Air Force stories they'd go back to, or the pilots, something was weird. You have a sweaty guy in a diner, you know. That's
Joe's point about
good
the
shit.
execution, totally spot on. Like that had the potential to be real fucking confusing and wasn't. Like they hit what they needed to hit in a way that was succinct, but still like was a cool, confusing premise, but wasn't confusing as you're watching. It was great.
It helps that the professor was also the professor on Gilligan's Island, so I didn't have. There was no learning curve for me.
All right, so he's a scientist of some sort. I don't know, but the villain in that. I mean, like they really played him so well that, like, yeah, he's a villain. Yeah, he's despicable, but you do empathize at some point where you're like, oh, even that dude's overwhelmed and he's evil. You know, like,
yes,
wow,
that guy was intense. Every vein and all the spitting, just top shelf. The
so good.
I'd say Elegy was in my short list too. I think about it.
It's so funny you say that. I did, and I'm like, I almost felt like I shouldn't put it there for some reason, but good. I'm glad you said that. It's a good one.
It's another one that ends up feeling like a horror story at the end. You know, it feels like you're getting almost, you think, oh, you're getting the zoo episode. It's going to be another human zoo or something. But then you're like, oh, it's a cemetery. And that's spooky.
Yeah.
All these people are
and not
basically
like one
dead.
of the classics, like far deviated from the realm of classic Twilight Zone. It's like ones you wouldn't even see often on a marathon, sometimes even. But yeah, it is good. It's a good one. A little creepy one. I forgot.
Definitely creepy. Yeah. That part, it sticks with
fun
you.
Fun to watch, you know, before special effects, and just like had a bunch of actors trying their best to stay still and everything, and doing it damn better than I would do, certainly. Yeah. But still, you know, as good as you could do, and it's kind of fun to watch.
Yeah. Also, like 20 people got paid that day, so now it's AI.
Right. I wondered too about like one of the shots from that, because, you know, cameras were huge back then, right? They didn't have the steady cam, but there's one shot with the couple dancing as he steps into that room that I was like, how on earth did they like have a track that was flowing really fluid? Because they move, they kind of rotate around and go up and down. And I was like, how do they even do that shot?
It's pretty great. I like
impressive.
Serling always called them films too. I noticed that in all these interviews. And I'm like, because they're like, these are little movies. That mentality really shows throughout the whole series.
Yeah, and the quality of the video now. I mean, the quality of all these recordings now really stands out, that they took care of them and it was high quality.
Except for Night of the Meek.
Media.
When you get to that, is that the only one where they switched to video because of the live broadcast or something? I can't remember. I know we'll get into it.
There are 6 of them that went to. Yeah.
I couldn't remember. I remember it being real jarring when it happened.
It is, yeah. You'll definitely know immediately when you see them.
Yeah, and you can tell when they why they switch back too. They're still good. They're good episodes. They just don't look the way you're accustomed to.
Season 2, right? That's coming up.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that was all. I remember hearing something, and we'll get into it, I'm sure, when we do the research, that it had something to do with them planning a live broadcast and they couldn't use film. But I don't know. If they'd stuck with it for 6 episodes, that sounds like a cost-cutting thing. We'll find out. I'm sure they try to undercut everything.
Yeah, I don't remember either why.
Yeah.
He said he had to go back and beg to be renewed every season, so it's insane to me. But I'm a fan. What are you going to do?
Yeah, it's easier to see in hindsight how impactful these would be, but yeah, at the time, I mean, it was still. I really wonder what the vibe of it was. I mean, was this oh no, we got to get home and watch the Twilight Zone because, you know, it's such a great show.
It's Friday night.
Right. If people were just kind of like, you know, that's fine, whatever, for those weirdos who like that stuff. Halloween people.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were out.
Yeah.
To be honest, 10:30 on a Friday night, or you're just coming in maybe from a conservative evening out, and that's your nightcap. I don't know. I would be curious to see what the Nielsen's were like.
The 1960s introverts.
Yeah. So season 2's upon us soon.
I'm scrolling through. I'm looking at the episode list, just to call out some great ones here. We got The Howling Man, Eye of the Beholder, Nick of Time, some real classic ones. What's Night of the Meek, as you mentioned. What else we got here? The Invaders, another classic.
Yeah.
22 was one of my favorites. A little Final Destination influence. The Silence, another one I love. Obsolete Man, some on the real Will the Real Martian stand up. Yeah, lots of good classics.
It's good
Great
stuff.
Season.
I can't wait.
Awesome.
I can't wait.
Very exciting.
So Matt, I assume you'll be cool with coming back for some season 2 stuff then.
Yeah, pop me in here and there. Unless the fans are burning torches and want me away, then keep me away.
I've heard nothing bad. I've heard nothing bad. Only good.
I'm gonna keep going until we do. I'm gonna try to do worse so we could hear some bad stuff.
Yeah, season 2 is gonna be fun. I can't wait to see like how they go regroup in what little changes happen right in the beginning. That's gonna be really interesting to be really looking for them and not just passively ingesting the show like I normally do. Like a big glutton. So thanks so much, guys. It's been a really wild season. Is there anything you want to say to wrap things up?
No, just thanks to all the listeners for joining us for this, and hope they join us for season 2. And been a lot of fun. Thanks, Freddie, for hosting everything out. And,
yeah, you bet.
And doing this together. And thanks to Matt for joining us.
Yeah,
it's been a lot of fun.
Thanks for the hours of entertainment this season as I go to bed with you guys in my ear.
Oh, nice. And erotic.
Nice.
And on that note,
but mostly just nice. Thank you, guys.